Hey guys, Nicole Cooper here, and I want to shoot a video today that has actually been an issue for or a concern for me for many years, and nobody's actually done a video about it or actually talked about this topic. So today I want to talk to you guys about how to stop attracting broke people into your life.
Hello everyone, Kevin D. Robinson here once again, and I wanted to step in here just for a moment to interrupt this presentation by the incredible Nicole Cooper to let you know that I got specific permission from her to modify this video clip just a little bit. Now, I'm stepping in here because I wanted to let you know that once you listen to what she has to say here, you need to get involved with the Empowered Network immediately, because this program is changing lives. And what she has to say here for the next 19-20 minutes or so is mind-altering information. Let me say it one more time. It is mind-altering information. If your mindset is not geared toward being on the other side of money when you get done listening to what she has to say, I suggest to you, pack up your bags, do something else, because the ball game is just about over for you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Nicole Cooper.
And you know, this is pretty humorous because many of us, if you're in the home-based business industry, you're an entrepreneur, or you're in business opportunities and you're at a point where you want to build your network, but you keep getting people coming to you who are broke. Let's talk about that today, you know, because it's something that has occurred in my life consistently over the past couple of years. And, you know, I've called friends about it and I'm like, you know, I'm really annoyed. I'm tired of attracting these people who can't come up with $25. And all they want to do is give me a story of all the things that they can't do. And then we're having these private conversations about folks who they don't want to do anything when they do get connected to you. And so what they end up doing is bringing the morale down, and they really don't have an interest in educating and investing in themselves. And they kind of want to stay stuck in this low poverty mentality and situation. And so those of us who are leaders, those of us who are ambitious, those of us who have drive and are determined to get more out of life, we end up being surrounded by, it's almost like you're, you know, on a boat and you're going from one island, like a Gilligan's Island, to America. You want to get to a point where the opportunity is greater, and there's so many things that you want to experience in your life that you're pursuing to get to an even greater market of people that are like you. They think like you, and they want to do things that you want to do, and they're in an upper echelon of a demographic, right? But as you're trying to escape from Gilligan's Island, you have all of these people who claim they want that too, but when they get on the boat, it's almost as though they weigh the boat down, and the more you're trying to wade the water to get across the sea, the more that they're just holding on to the side of the boat and tipping it over, causing water to get in, and you're slowly starting to sink. And what happens is, although you all want to get to the same place, you're realizing that these people are literally holding you back and causing you to drown. And so you're asking yourself, what do I need to do to get away from these people? And I'm here to tell you that today you're going to have to throw them off the boat. Okay? Everybody cannot go with you. And that's one of the things that I've had to realize in my life. You know, babe, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You know, me and my husband have been talking, and this has been an issue for me for years because I kept saying, you know, I'm somebody that has invested $3,000 into a 2-day weekend event because I want so much out of life. Why is it that I'm attracting these people who can't come up with $25, or when you start working with them and they spent their last $25, all of a sudden they want to blame you for everything, kick and scream, and they become basically people who torment your life. They become those folks holding on to the edge of the boat, and they're tipping you over and letting water in, and you're slowly finding that you're drowning. So today, guys, is going to be your breakthrough moment. Today, we're throwing them off the boat. Today, we're going to begin to attract a different breed of people in our life who not only want to get on the boat and go with us, but they're willing to take their sticks and they're willing to help row. They're going to come. They're not going to complain and talk about, I'm tired, my arm hurts, it's taking too long, how much longer, are we there yet? We don't want those people on the boat. We want the people who are going to say, let's synchronize this thing. Everybody, let's row together. And you begin to do everything in motion as a team. So let's talk about what it takes to begin to change the demographic of people that you attract in your life, okay? Now, this is a totally impromptu video. As you can see, I am in mommy gear, no makeup or none of that stuff, no fancy cute stuff, because this was a message that I got so pissed off today and annoyed that I felt that I needed to talk about it, because it's time to stop babysitting the situation and start addressing the pink elephant in the room, okay? And I will say this, you know, a lot of times when you come from a community or a cultural environment where you grew up around these people with this kind of mindset, you feel responsible for taking them with you. And I'm here to tell you today that unfortunately you can't, and here's why. Well, number one, guys, when you hop on an airplane, okay, I fly a lot. You know, and I always used to wonder, this is before I had kids. I always used to wonder when they tell you that if for any emergency, when something happens and you need to get the airbag, make sure you put the airbag on you first before you put it on anybody else that's with you. And I didn't get it until I have kids. And I realize now that if something happens and we're on an airplane, and I put the airbag on me first and I'm able to breathe, if for any reason anything happens to my children and I need to rescue them, at least I'm alive and I'm fully aware so that I can be able to make their situation better. If I take care of them first and neglect myself, if I'm out of commission, then my kids cannot restore me. So in other words, I have to be in perfect health and in perfect awareness and have my house in order first. And that way I'm able to take care of others. And for many of you guys, you're in a point where you're coming from Gilligan's Island. You're trying to get to America, the land of opportunity, and you want to take everybody with you, but you can't do that until you get to America first and create opportunities where there's room for them. See, my father, my mom, they're both immigrants. They migrated from Central America. We're from Belize. And my dad is the oldest, I think, of 12. And I remember when him sharing the story, I wasn't born, of course, when he was migrating to America, his goal was to get his entire family here. So he was the anchor. He came over here. He got into the military. He started doing certain things to get himself on track. Next thing you know, started making the money and started sending and slowly bringing his mom, then bringing his grandma, then bringing the kid, all his brothers and sisters, to the point where the entire family is here today. But if he did not come here first and get things in order first, then they would not be able to come and have an infrastructure where they can blend into what he's doing. Many of you guys are trying to take everybody with you when you don't have your house in order yet. You have to get to a point where, and I used to hear people, this lady used to tell me when I worked at a summer camp where I met my husband, she used to say, you give out of your overflow and not your resources. Very few of us have enough to give to people to keep them alive right now. And we're trying to get all these folks and put them all on breathing machines and try to carry the weight of bringing all of them with us, when in actuality, we need to break the chains and let them go and get to a point where we're empowered. And now we can give them an ultimatum. If you want to come with me, you must do this, this, and that, or else you cannot come. Okay, so let's talk about that in the world of internet marketing. How does that apply to you? How does it apply to you as an entrepreneur? How does it apply to you as a leader? Well, guys, there comes a point where you got to give people tough love. I'm at a point now where I do not babysit excuses. I do not give people room to tell me all the reasons why they did not get something done. I've learned that either you choose to do it or you choose not to, but I'm not going to sit here and allow you to make me feel guilty because you have not done your part. So you have to begin to get to a point where you have the confidence and the posture that everybody can't go with you. All right. It's just not going to happen. People are going to fail. And one of the greatest lessons I've learned by being associated with a group of millionaires is the fact that you got to be okay with people failing. You just have to. Everybody's not going to make it. Okay. You got to be okay with that. The second thing is it's time to change our language. Before I did this video, I did a video that I vented about how I'm sick and tired of all the broke people reaching out to me. My husband came to me and he said, Nicole, you know, you're actually putting all your energy in the wrong place, because now you're doing nothing but attracting more broke people to you. So what you have to do is shift that message to the people who are like you, who are sick of attracting the broke people who don't want anything. And so I realized it's my language that has been attracting these kind of people. It's my language that makes them feel that it's okay to come to me and give some money, and all of a sudden they're going to become a multimillionaire and they don't want to do anything. They want to be lazy and blow their money in things that are not beneficial to their life, but make me feel responsible for why they're failing. It is my language that must change to attract the kind of people that I want to attract, which is how me and you are connecting right now. So what does that mean? Instead of me starting to do videos and cater to people that if you don't have any money, if you're struggling, if you're unemployed, if you need my help, if you need motivation, if you want me to help you, all of those things are saying, if you have a scenario of issues and you need somebody to coax you on the back, I'm your girl. Now I have to change that language and say, listen, I'm speaking to those of you who are leaders who want more out of your life and you're sick and tired of dealing with the people who don't. Now, all of a sudden, I've gotten the ear of the people who want more out of their life. So what you have to do is, if you're in a market where you want to make money online, and if you want to be taken seriously, you have to begin to think about the demographic of people who are just like you, and what do? How do they talk? What are the language? What is the terminology that they use? One of the things that I'm doing now is, instead of talking about making money, I want to talk about building wealth, increasing your net worth, getting to a point where you have assets. This is a totally different mind frame. This is a totally different market of people. I'm getting connected to those who understand that language, and it doesn't take for me to take 2 months out of my life to get them to want to go read some books so that they can get themselves up to par and understand what it is that we're talking about. So if you want to get to a point where you're changing your network of people, you have to change your language. And guys, the third thing is probably the best lesson that I learned for basically a $6,000 investment that I made with one guy who mentors me. And he said this to me. He said, your first $1 million is going to be invested in buying your friends. Okay. And when he said that, I was like, buy your friends. How do you buy friends? What happens is you begin to invest your money into opportunities that put you in a network of people who are where you want to be. So instead of allowing yourself to be in a menial, income bracket of people who are okay with where they are and you want them to try to push for more, you got to stretch yourself. So for example, I remember, me and my good friend Tracy, we were both at an event in Las Vegas, and we both showed up to this seminar knowing that we wanted to spend money with somebody so that we can get ourselves to another level, because we were at a point of stagnation and it was like we can only go so far, and we wanted to go to another level. So we attended this event. It was all these different speakers that focus on different areas, whether it was internet marketing and traffic, others was on leadership, others, were talking about personal development, all these different things. And they had breakout rooms. And so we went to one of the breakout rooms, and there was this guy that we had heard a lot about him. We actually had met him earlier that year at an event in Dallas, and he kind of passed us by. We didn't really know who he was, but we finally found out he was an 8-figure earner, owned his own company, and just basically had it all together. He ran with a lot of the big boys. And so we're sitting in his breakout room, and her and I already knew we were ready to spend some money with somebody. And he came out and he said, he was doing his little spiel and talking about all kind of random things like family and how he's going to start his own underwear line and some really off the wall stuff. It really wasn't like tips and techniques and strategies and things like that. And so he said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and allow a couple of you to come hang out with me at my house in Phoenix. And he went into his whole spiel and he was like, but only 10 people can come. If we don't get 10 people, we're not going to do it. But here's what we're going to do. It's going to cost you $3,000. You have to pay today. And if we don't get 10 people, it's not going to happen. So if you're ready to go, come to the front of the room. And me and Tracy immediately stood up and raised our hands with our credit cards in it, because we knew we were going to be number 1 and number 2 to be a part of this event. And he didn't even have any paperwork. He was like, oh, grab a piece of paper, give me your name, your address, your credit card number, your code on the back. And he was like, I wasn't even prepared for this. I just decided to do it on a whim. And we literally had torn pieces of paper that we put this information on, and he made 30 grand in 10 minutes. Now, my 10 grand, my 3 grand and paying him for that was for me to find out how I can be the person making 30 grand in 10 minutes. And we went and spent the weekend with him. And one of the best lessons that I learned was, Nicole, stop thinking like a 6-figure earner and start thinking like a 7-figure earner. And then secondly, he talked about changing your language, because you're attracting all these issues because of how you speak. And then the third thing was, you're going to have to invest your first $1 million in buying your friends. So that meant that if I had to spend, like I just recently spent $5,100 to be associated with a group of guys that make $500,000 a month, then I'm going to spend that $5,000. It doesn't matter to me whether I make money from it or not, because my investment in that relationship is going to be what's worth the investment. Because remember, my first $1 million is invested in buying my friends. I recently joined an organization for my children. It cost me $1,500. It is an exclusive organization here in our area. Now it has me associated with moms who are doctors and lawyers. That is my network. And my children's network. My children are now associated with kids who go to private school. They're well traveled. They experience all kinds of things in life. They're culturally exposed. And there's so many different aspects. Now, for those of you who feel like, well, I don't want to come across as bougie. I don't want to come across as a sellout. I don't want people to look at me and think that I'm better than them. Let me tell you right now, shake yourself out of that mentality, because you are better than that. You're better than that. Doesn't mean you're better than them. You're better than that. And the reason why is because you have one life to live in which you are responsible for the outcome of it. You are placed on this earth with a purpose and a destiny that God has called you to fulfill. And he does not want you burying your talents because you want people to accept you. We're not here to be accepted. We're here to do our job, and we have to do it boldly and not be ashamed of that responsibility. And so if you want to call me a sellout, well, guess what? I will be sold out to the markets, to the audience of people who are trying to figure out how in the heck that my family and I are able to live a different kind of life, although they want to sit and criticize it. So if you're a leader with ambition, drive, desire to get more out of life, and you're in this rut, you're going to have to implement those 3 things. Understand that you can't take everybody with you and that they're going to fail. You have to put your oxygen mask on first before you can try to put it on everybody else. The second thing is you're going to have to just get to a point where you're investing in yourself. You're investing in the things that are going to build your network. They're going to get you to a point where you're going to make a ridiculous amount of connections with the right people. And I don't know what my third one was. You figure it out when you watch this video. But my point is, guys, as you can see, I'm very passionate about this because it's something that has bothered me for a while and nobody's talking about it. And then we're so scared. I'm reading this book. And this is going to be a long video, but oh well, you need this speech. I'm reading this book called Next Generation Leader, okay? And I'm on the chapter that is called, this chapter is called Courage, okay? Courage, all right? Courage establishes leadership. And one of the things that he says is that accepting the status quo is the equivalent of accepting a death sentence. Where there's no progress, there's no growth. If there's no growth, there's no life. Environments void of change are eventually void of life. So here's the deal, guys. In order to be successful, in order to get to a point where you separate yourself as a leader and you get above the status quo, and you stop allowing yourself to be in an environment of people that want you to feel sorry for them. They want to keep giving you the same old nonsense about how bad things are and how hard times are and how this happened and that happened, and they're forever playing the victim. You're going to need the courage to stand up as a leader and say, what you're saying is unacceptable, and unless you're willing to change it, I have no interest in sitting around with you and talking about how bad things are. Oh, the third point was change your language. That was the second point, really. And the third point was invest in yourself. But guys, you got to have courage. You got to have courage. I now have the official courage for people to come and not agree with what I say and call me whatever the heck they want to call me, because I'm bringing out the pink elephants that are in the room. So I'm going to wrap this video up and say, listen, if you are a leader and you are that person that desires more out of your life, and you are sick and bleeping tired of attracting the wrong kind of people, and all they want to do is take the edge of the boat and tilt it over trying to hold on because they don't want to help row the boat. They just want to be on for the ride. And the entire way they're telling you about how much it's taken too long, how cold the water is, how much they don't like it, how much they wish they can go back to Gilligan's Island, how much they wish that they can have this, that, and that. Guys, let those people go. If you read the story about Moses and trying to take people to the promised land, all they wanted to do was go back to Egypt and be slaves. They had no interest in getting to the promised land. No matter how many miracles God created, those folks still complained and did all these different things, and they caused Moses to have to be in the wilderness for 40 years. Guys, listen, you are at a point right now where you have an opportunity to reach the promised land. Taking a bunch of complaining, murmuring people, you ain't got to do it. You are not Christ, the Savior. You cannot rescue people. You cannot force change. You can take the horse to the water or the well, but you can't force him to drink. So here's the 3 things for a wrap up for this 20-minute video. Number 1,